Field of 68 After Dark. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. It is Sunday, January 11th. We are exactly 9 weeks away from Selection Sunday, if you can believe it or not, alongside the Godfather, Jeff Goodman, Randolph Childress in the house, as well as the former national champ, Justin Jackson. And we also welcome in the head coach of the Fighting Illini, Brad Underwood, there after the top 25 win over Iowa, 75-69 in Iowa City. For those who watch the game, Keaton Wagler continues to just astound in his freshman year, 19 points. His eighth straight game in double figures. Andre Stojakovic, Kylan Boswell, each added 17 points as they limited Bennett Sturts, one of the best point guards in the country, to just a really struggling night from the floor. Coach now 4-1 in Big Ten play for the fourth time in the last 6 years. This Iowa team has been able to kind of hang their hat on the defense this year. They lead your conference. They're holding opponents to like 62 points per game. What did you guys do offensively in this game to really excel at a high level early and often?
Well, we didn't turn it over early. That was a big key. And they force a ton of turnovers. They are, Ben's teams, and you go back in his history, Northwest Missouri, you go back to Drake, his teams are always get a lot of attention because of their offense, but they're always very, very good defensively. They're elite in gaps. They don't have what I would consider elite rim protection. Their rim protection comes from their gaps, and they're very handsy. And they do a great job. Early, we did a really good job, and then we can space, we can open the court, and I think that's one of the things that's it's kind of a matchup of their defense against our offense. We're number 3 in the country offensively in efficiency, and we were able to get some stops. We got a couple easy baskets in transition, a couple offensive rebounds, and you put all that together. And it got us off to a good start today.
Hey, Brad, usually freshmen outside of the top 100 don't make much of an impact. Guys don't even want to recruit them anymore. You bring in the kid Keaton Wagler, who, again, top 100-ish guy coming out of Kansas, Shawnee, Kansas, doesn't have a lot of high major offers. When did you realize he was going to be this good in the preseason, or did you not? I mean, he's averaging 18 over the last 8 games. He's probably one of the top, 5 or 10 freshmen in the country.
Well, he was 261. Okay, all the guys out there, and I say this all the time. It's about evaluating. It's about doing your job. And I'm not trying to brag on my son, but Tyler was there watching another game. Sees this kid passing the ball up the floor. He knows how important passing is to me, and he just goes and watches this kid and, just falls in love with him, and he could really shoot it as well. So, I associate passing with IQ and feel, and then he's 6'6", and, we thought early on, Jeff, like everybody, okay, wait till you get a freshman on campus, you coach him, you put him in front of 16,000 every night. You put him against high-level competition. We'll start to see the warts. And, then we figured he was 170 pounds when he got here, that he needed strength and weight. What we didn't count on is his poise, how tough he is. He is an extremely tough kid. And then his ability to make decisions. We went without Mihailo Petrovic. We didn't have him all summer. So it was Keaton versus Kylan every day this summer. And we started seeing that matchup, and it was like, man, this kid's holding his own. And for us, and this is our program, most freshmen never make a shot the first summer they're there. It's just too fast, too everything. He's still playing the game like he was in a high school game, playing against, his arch rival in Kansas City, Kansas, and the game hasn't impacted him. And it's a tribute to his poise and his feel.
Brad, speaking of freshmen, Merkovich was a guy I was hard on early in the year, particularly after the Nebraska game, because he played 30-plus minutes. I think he might have had 0 fouls and 1 or 2 rebounds. Tonight, he had 12 and 5 assists. I don't worry about the scoring with freshmen like that. With the guards you have, he'll get that. But what does his development look like over the last month or so?
Yeah, the one thing with Merck is he is I compare him a little bit because I played against him when he was at Iowa State. He's a young Georges Niang.
Right.
He was a point guard growing up that got big. He's got tremendous pedigree in his family from that side of things, from the basketball side. But he's an action guy for us. He creates a lot of mismatches. Tonight he had 5 assists, and he's going to make the right play. And yeah, he had 12 rebounds tonight. He's at a 20 rebound game. We're on him all the time to continue to get better defensively. Just in his talk, he's got good instincts. He's got great hands. He's long. He plays bigger than he is because of his length. He's just never going to jump over anybody. And he does have he's a motored up guy. He plays hard every single day. I couldn't be any more pleased with the way he's playing and the way he's growing. And as he continues to grow, our team continues to get better.
Coach, it's been a while since we last met in Maui in 2017.
I remember that ass whooping now. Don't.
I didn't bring up the score. I didn't bring up the results. I was just saying
I was gonna bring it up because we have a heck of a tournament, and I still say your guys' team was one of the best teams I've ever faced as a college coach. You guys were good.
Wow.
And we went into that. Well, you guys at the time, I take a lot of pride in offensive rebounding. And going into the game, we try to get 40% of our misses back. And going into that game, and you guys were obviously very, very good. You were getting 54% of your misses back. and I'm like, how are we going to get a rebound? And we had a really good freshman, Lindy Waters, playing in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he was a freshman, and guys, I'm telling you, I mean, they put a whooping on it. We had Phil Forte, who you guys wouldn't let get a shot off. Juwan Evans had a big night, but nobody else could get a sniff. And I think we got like 12% of our misses back. It was embarrassing. But you guys were really good.
Well, I appreciate the compliments. I didn't want to bring the results of that game up. Kind of going off of what you were saying as far as the way that Keaton was able to go against Kylan in practice all through summer. Having a lead guard like Kylan Boswell going into each and every game that's experienced, can do anything that you possibly need him to do, how much easier does that make it for you from game to game?
Well, we had Kasparas Yakachonis last year. And I promise you, Kylan Boswell's hand in making him a first-round draft pick was huge. Kylan is ultra competitive. He competes at a really, really high level. He didn't get his flowers last year. Kylan didn't, in my opinion. He was new to our program as well. And here he is with a bunch of freshmen. We were so young. We had 11 new guys last year. We were so young. And Kylan's helping Will Riley and Kasparas and every day, and he's done the same thing with Keaton, and now he's settled into our system a little bit. He's playing like just a grizzled old veteran should, a 4-year guy, even though he's just turned 21 years old. But he's a leader, and his competition every single day, Kylan works his tail off. And so for Keaton to go up against that, for Kasparas to go up against that, it sets a tone for our team. And again, I'm glad he's on our team.
Coach, you know, we talk about your offense an awful lot, but the defense over this 5-game win streak has been elite. And I know you would probably agree with your most elite teams, the defense has been stellar. And I think you guys allowed 69 points right today. That was the most over the last 5 games. But in the losses, it was the turnovers, that kind of cost you guys, and maybe some missed shots, not getting those offensive rebounds. What have you seen turn since the Nebraska game on the defensive mentality for your team?
You know, and this is going to sound really cliche, and I don't want it to, but we finally got to practice with our whole team. I mean, and it's so hard. Andrei Stojakovic goes down the first day of school, and we don't have him for 7 weeks, and you know it. I think chemistry starts and is hardest to develop on the defensive side. And man, I needed him to be a guy that guarded the other team's best players. I needed him to be a guy that learns to communicate, learns to rebound. Early in the year, he had 2 games where he didn't grab a rebound. He's 6'7" and a great athlete and long. We go 16. Thomas Lavavisic misses 16 straight practices. Had to have his tonsils removed. And then, you know, we get Mihailo over here, and then he high ankle sprain, then comes back, tears his hamstring. Brandon Lee, who's going to be a terrific player for us, high ankle sprain. Z was out some time. So it was like, we just need practice. And all of a sudden we've got a stretch where I'm trying to play all of these guys into shape. And the schedule is Alabama, UConn, Tennessee. I mean, we're just, we weren't in shape. We didn't have any chemistry. So we had a stretch where we had 8 days off. Then we had a game. Then we had finals and 9 games. And we just recommitted ourselves to getting back to who we were. There was a lot of accountability in practice. They were tough, hard-ass practices. With a lot of demands, and if you didn't want to guard it, Keaton's gotten better. Keaton's no longer running into every screen. Merck's gotten better. Z's rim presence has been elite. Tommy's gotten in better shape. So it's just been right on down the list, and now we've got a guy in Andrei Stojakovic who, along with Keaton, along with Boswell, give us 3 pretty good guys, and they're all a little different in what they do defensively on the perimeter.
All right, so Brad, if you had told me 10 years ago, come up with a list of coaches that would have gone this heavy international route, you would not have been on the list. You would have been one of the last guys that I thought would do this, to be honest. You've done it. You were a JUCO guy. You definitely wouldn't have went international then. But even K-State, I just didn't see it. You were all about toughness, and now you're about finesse. You've gone soft. We know as you've gotten older.
Cut it out, Jeff.
No. Jeff, you can call me a lot of things.
It's all thing one of them, Coach. I can't even let him get away with that.
Hey, I'm going to meet his ass in the Pizza Hut parking lot, and we'll find out who you got.
I still think I'm quicker than you. But anyway, you went this experiment, which I think we called it before the year, a little bit, of going as heavy international as you did. I remember you saying, like, hey, I think they're going to be a little bit easier to coach. I think some of the international guys, a little bit less money. How has this experiment been through the first half of the year? And do you foresee leaning heavily into this kind of approach going forward?
Yeah, but I think the game has changed. I think the game is different from officiating. Jeff, look at the NBA, and it's becoming analytics. It's because I'm still tough. It's not wrong for me to want to look at the math, the analytics, the way the game is played. All we've done is said, okay, we want to get really smart guys who can process and have high IQ with positional size and shooting. And where can we go find those guys? And we got really spoiled when we had Kofi Coburn because he was the only size we had. We started as 6'4" power forward. And I said, okay, we're not going to find Kofi anymore, so we have to make some changes. And the NBA game is that. And we're playing an NBA style. We're 5 out. We've got guys who can shoot it at 7 feet. We're We're not a heavy post-up team, and yet we emphasize scoring twos. We don't shoot mid-range jump shots. It's just not what we do. And so we've kind of gone that way. Do I love coaching them? Absolutely. There's a lot of positives in it. And the one thing that can't be lost on the European kids, the experience of coming to college is still a huge piece of it for them. They love the experience, the newness. Hey, I'm playing college basketball. They're every single one of them we have had here, their work ethic is just unmatched.
Really?
It is. I mean, David Merkovich shoots 1,000 threes every single morning before practice, and we practice at 7:30. Mihailo Petrovic hasn't been playing a lot for us, and that kid is unbelievable in the gym. Andrei Stojakovic, even though he's been in the States, his work ethic, it's just a unique blend of the experience, the IQ. They're tougher than I thought they were. From a coaching standpoint, Jeff, I went to Belgrade this summer and did a clinic for 3 days. Best clinic I've ever been to. The basketball is brilliant. Sitting down every night with EuroLeague coaches and talking, and they're creative, their intellect. But these kids they're not afraid to be coached, and they're not afraid to be told the truth. And you know me, I'm going to do that. So it allows them to get better. They all want to get better. They all want to win.
Yeah. Look, the game's changing. Coach Brad Underwood is changing with it too. Congrats on the win. Congrats on the health as well. And congrats on the start to the season, Coach. Really appreciate it. Best of luck at Northwestern on Wednesday.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Have a great week, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Open
Thanks,
that
Brad.
bottle up,
Appreciate
Coach.
it.
You deserve it after today.
Appreciate it, Coach.
There's no doubt. You're on it.
Man, yeah. So, he's right too. And Dan Hurley gets a lot of credit too from taking a lot of the EuroLeague stuff and on their offensive sets. And you're starting to see it implied and applied to Coach Underwood's teams at Illinois. Coach Ben McCollum on the other side is going to go back to the drawing board and look for some answers. They're about to embark on a really tough road trip. They go to Purdue and then at Indiana. Speaking of searching for answers, by the way, the Memphis Tigers and Penny Hardaway have been searching high and low for anything resembling an answer, and they still haven't really been able to find one. They dropped their 8th game of the season earlier today at FAU. 89-78 was the score. Keep in mind, too, guys, this comes like 8 days after Penny claimed that he had witnessed his team experience a breakthrough of sorts, and here they are right back in square one. They use their 11th different starting lineup now in 15 games. They've played 11 different players in that first half, Jeff. So what is happening in Memphis right now this year, and is Penny going to be the guy to turn it around?
The second question, the answer would be no, as I've been saying for years. And RC got me for a year last year because they had a great, they had a really good season last year. And then Tyrese Hunter got hurt in the NCAA tournament. They didn't win a game again. It's crazy. He's in his 8th season now at Memphis. Any of you want to check on how many tournament wins Penny Hardaway has in 8 years? That would be one win. Great guy. But again, falls in line with all the other former NBA players, coaches, and RC has heard me say this 100 times. And I feel bad that I have to say it every time, but it's true. None of them sustain winning. None of them. Go down the list. Patrick Ewing, Chris Mullin, Clyde Drexler, Juwan Howard, you name it. It's the same old story with every single one of them. And they think they know it, and then they get in, and they don't win at a high level. They just don't. How about this? I'm going to give you some numbers. 8th year, again, 1 tourney win, 3 NCAA tournament appearances. They stink this year. We know that. They're terrible. His career record is 169-75. His conference record in the AAC is 87-39. Josh Pastner, in 7 years, he was run out. His career record at Memphis was 167-73. Identical, basically identical. 2 less wins, 2 less losses. 82-36, almost identical. He went to 4 NCAA tournaments and had 2 tournament wins. It's time. It's time. I mean, listen, in RC, you can try to defend the dude all you want, and you have up till this point. I think it's time to rest your case here.
I'll rest it for this year. I'll give you this year. This year it's over. I can't defend it, and I said that before. But I think it's the landscape has changed some too, Jeff, in the sense of, and I don't know if I've been advocating for Memphis, if they could have gotten out of the American, I thought it would have helped them. I think being in the American hurts them from that perspective. And again, with the landscape,
go where,
and
RC? Where would you like to? Where would you like to see them? Where should they go?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's ACC, if it's whatever. I don't care where they go, but they're it's the best job in the American. I don't think anybody argues that. But I also think in today's landscape, I think it hurts them in that, in that perspective of kids want visibility. Kids want, and I'm talking about kids outside of Memphis. Jeff, in the past, I think they've had a lot of money. I don't know what that NIL looks like right now. I do think Penny's probably got to figure out a better way of how he wants to approach the portal. He just missed this year. So many guys did. And I'll say this, before I say he has to go for 3 and 8 years, we got to go down every Power 4, every Power 5 conference coach at that point, and then kind of go down the same resume and do the same thing. But I get it. I mean, Jeff's 3 and 8. The whole NBA thing, there's been a lot more examples of that, and I can't argue much of that with Jeff. I mean, he's right with a lot of that. I don't think guys always understand. I don't feel as strong as he does. I think Penny's done a good job. I just think he has to find a different approach about how he wants to handle the portal. I don't think you can hit on 11 kids having a completely new roster year in, year out. I think he's got to find a mixture. He's got to figure out a way to keep staff members there. There are some things that need to change, but I think he's had enough success that he shouldn't be run out.
So if it's not Penny Hardaway to fix it, Jeff, who is the guy to fix it?
So I have 3 names if they move off of Penny Hardaway after the season, which we'll see how this goes, right? I mean, he's got some time left this year, but things can't keep going spiraling downward and expecting that Penny Hardaway is going to get another shot because his name is Penny Hardaway. So here are the 3 names in order of who I go after. Number 1, and this one I'm not sure would take it, but number 1, I would go after Shaheen Holloway at Seton Hall. He's got arguably the worst job in his league, and he can go to a place where he's got the best job in his league. Again, Memphis, you got to realize, guys, has 3 times as many resources NIL-wise as any other team in their league right now. Shaheen, again, it's the worst job in its league, or DePaul, whichever you want to say in the Big East. I don't care. So I don't know if Shaheen would do it, being that it's his alma mater, but I think he'd look long and hard about it, because I think if you're him, you got to get out while you can. Number 2 would be Ryan Miller. Ryan Miller's at Murray State. They're winning at a high level right now. It's only year 1. I get it, but they're 7-0 in their league, and he's got ties to that area and that school. Remember, he was a staffer with John Calipari on those Memphis teams that were winning. His brother is also Mike Miller, who obviously has ties to that area. So he's well connected. One of the issues right now for Penny Hardaway is he doesn't have the full backing of FedEx. The next guy is going to need that. Obviously, that's a major advantage. Number 3, George Mason head coach Tony Skinn. I think he'd fit there. He's done an incredible job. Year 3 right now at George Mason, and he's got that program rolling right now. I mean, they're undefeated in the A-10, and he's done a terrific job. So I don't know what you think of those 3, RC, but again, I'd start with Shaheen.
I like all 3 coaches. I just don't think it's happening anytime soon. We're going to have to table that conversation until next year.
Any of those?
So it's
3,
more a conversation of timing than who, huh?
Yeah.
I'll throw a name in there.
Yeah.
And once again, I don't, whether it happens this year, whether it doesn't, whatever. Bryce Drew at Grand Canyon. let's throw his name just out there just to be interesting. Somebody that's turned around basically every place that he's coached at. Now, would he leave a Grand Canyon where he's obviously having a lot of
Not named
success and
Vandy.
there's a lot of money there? But yeah, I mean, he had a couple down years, right? But throw Bryce Drew's name in there.
I mean, he also had Darius Garland out for the season, which people forget, right? People always hammer him for that 1 year where they didn't win a league game, but you lose your point guard who's a lottery pick. You don't have a backup point guard. No, I think Bryce is an interesting one. I just think Shaheem would be, to me, perfect for Memphis. Now, it'd be ugly, be some ugly basketball down there, but they'd win. They'd win a lot, and they'd play hard as shit. We know that.
It's a fit.
They still got Pastner's number. Maybe they gave him a shout. Who knows? I mean, who knows? Anything's a possibility these days. So, by the way, the Tigers are now 1-7 in quad 1 and quad 2 games. If there's any solace to be taken, they do return home to take on Temple on Wednesday. They're one of only 2 remaining AAC teams with an undefeated league record. So that's an opportunity in front of them. We're going to take a short break here. So much more to discuss on the weekend that was. Arizona now likely the undisputed number 1 team in the country. Iowa State continues to make their case. And Houston, man, they rattle off another win. We'll tackle the Big 12 results on the other side.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 On3. Get the scoop.
And we're back here on the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM, alongside Jeff Goodman, RC, and Justin Jackson. I am merely Sam Ravech. As we get into the heart of conference play, we all know there's no such thing as an ugly conference road win, because at the end of the day, a win is all that matters, especially when it comes in the Big 12. But if you want to deem it an ugly one, Arizona might have exemplified that after seeing a double-digit lead evaporate against TCU. They still hung on to win 86-73. Really physical game. A lot of whistles or non-calls in that game. The Cats managed now their second best start to a season in school history at 16-0. Freshman Koa Pete had 20 points in that game, most since that Florida game that he had against the former reigning national champs. Jaden Bradley, Anthony Del Orso added 17 apiece. Jeff, I'll start with you. Are the Wildcats now the undisputed number 1 team in the country in your eyes after Michigan goes down?
I don't know. Like, I should say yes. I'm an Arizona alum, right? I should say yes.
Right.
They've won every game. They've been unbelievable, and now Braden Burries has really started to come on. He had 10 straight games in double figures before their last game against TCU. It's been awesome and provided them some of that perimeter shooting that I wasn't sure they had enough of. They're going to be number one, and they should be number one. I just feel like you got to put Iowa State in the same conversation now, don't we? I mean, they have the best win of the season. They beat Purdue by 1 million in West Lafayette. Like they were great in Vegas. Part of those games coming without Tamin Lipsey, their most important player. They have maybe a top 5 point guard in the country in Lipsey, two-way point guard for sure. A top 10 player in the country in Joshua Jefferson, maybe 2 top 10 players overall. And then a top 10 shooter in Milan Mincilovic. And, oh, by the way, a top 10 maybe freshman, certainly defender in Killian Torres. So I love Arizona, but I also love Iowa State right now. And I think it's closer than people want to admit, with Arizona being number one and Iowa State being just a little notch behind them.
RC?
You know who you just described, Jeff? You just described Arizona. A two-way point guard. Everything you just described, I could sit there and say, and you're right, Iowa State is close. They're number 2 because everything you just described Arizona. So I'm going to pretend Jeff's the Arizona alum, but I'm riding the Arizona train. Even when Michigan was taking belt to ass to everyone in the country, I still advocated it. Arizona was the best team in college basketball, and I'm not surprised that they're still undefeated. That may change here coming up with a game against Kansas, but Jeff, there's no arguing. The only thing that this team's lacking is 3-point shooting. When they get that, they're unbeatable. You talk about top 10 freshmen, everything you just said. I don't even need to repeat it. We can play that back. You just described Arizona, and it's why they're number 1. And again, I think they're the best team in college basketball.
And they're better up front.
I would say this good.
They're better up front, RC. That's where Arizona has the edge, right? Justin, I see you nodding. That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean that's the nod that I would give. Like Iowa State all year, that was kind of my thing. Was would they have the front line to be able to go against some of these guys that are just massive inside, right? And Arizona is that. Like Arizona has the size. They've got, if the shooting comes around, they've got Jaden Bradley, who's obviously a top, if you want to say top 5 point guard in the country. So somebody that can steady the ship. And then if the shooting comes around, then I just don't. They guard. Like I don't really see many holes. Kind of like how we've been talking about Michigan, probably up until this Wisconsin game. Like that's how Arizona has been all year long. Like there really hasn't been a dip. So yeah, I mean I think it's Arizona, and then heck, whoever you want to put. If you want to put Iowa State 2, Michigan 2, but I think Arizona kind of solidified themselves as number 1 for right now.
I would have loved to have seen Arizona versus UConn with a healthy Terrace Reed, with a healthy Braylon Mullins, because I think that would have been a really, really good test. I'm not going to take away anything from that win, because going into that arena and winning that game should matter. But the path they're on now, man, 9-0 in the first 2 quadrants. They got the wins over Florida, UConn, Auburn, Alabama. Next big test maybe on the road at BYU, the 26th of January. Their real biggest test, and we might as well just get to it, might not come until the final week of the regular season when they host Iowa State. TJ Otzelberger's group off to their best start in program history, perfect 16-0, following the 12-point win over Oklahoma State this weekend. Once again, all 5 starters were in double figures in that game. Joshua Jefferson, Goodman, who you mentioned, has got to be in the National Player of the Year conversation a little bit more. I just think maybe it's because of the, we call it helmet games. Indiana has been a victim of this in football. Iowa State may be a little bit of a victim of it in basketball. They're just not getting the credit they deserve, and Joshua Jefferson falls under that category for me. But man, Iowa State is something not a lot of teams had coming into this season, RC, and that was continuity with their big 3 coming back. And that might be one of the key differences or distinctions between them and the rest of the Big 12.
I think the biggest difference, I think Momcilovic is the key to, I think, how far they go. But I think having Torrey is that backcourt and guard defensively and what they do is I had a coach just talk about him, what they saw him in high school, and thought he was an elite on-ball defender, and to see him go to Iowa State and what that does at the point of attacks takes – I think it takes so much pressure off Lindsey. So I think it's just a complete team. You do worry about some of the size, some of the frontline guys, but they're an elite defensive team, man. And if Momcilovic plays the way he's capable of playing, can be a consistent offensive player, this team is it's going to be there because they hang their head on that defensive end of the floor. So they're fun to watch. I think the race now to see who stays undefeated, and we're doing all this. And it's funny, we're talking about these two teams, and for me, I still say it runs, the Big 12 runs through Houston, after and as great as, and the top two teams will be Arizona and Iowa State next week. And I still say the Big 12 runs through Houston.
Why?
Justin,
I want to know why.
Because they dominated the league, and I've seen nothing that tells me what a team that's won 60 straight road games. It is. I don't question that. I tell you what, I got less question marks about what they're going to be as their freshmen continue to go. I think they have a higher ceiling because we've seen Arizona, we've seen Iowa State, but the freshmen at Houston, as they grow over the course of the season, we know they're going to get better. And as they get better with a team that has the Final Four capability, that to me is what, again, Arizona's number one team in the country. They've been the best team. I don't question it. I just think Houston is still a top 5 team, and they're the ones I think have they have the ability to take the bigger step of those 3 teams. That's why I still think the league runs through Houston, because they're going to improve as the year go on, because they're relying on freshmen.
We're going to get to the Houston conversation in just a second, Justin, but I did want to tee you up on this and take it wherever you want. But Iowa State plays inside Allen Fieldhouse on Tuesday night against Kansas. Now, obviously, this isn't the vintage Bill Self Kansas teams, but the Cyclones have lost 7 in a row at the Phog. So thoughts on that game coming up as that, maybe a barometer test, but again, Kansas continues to be one of the more fascinating stories, not only in this conference, but in the entire country.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could push this conversation back until after that game, to be honest with you. But RC, man, like I can see what you're saying, because I think the whole ceiling argument, it's for sure Iowa State, what you're getting right now. That's what you're going to get for the rest of the season. Houston, they could turn into whatever it might be. But when I watch Iowa State, man, like, I think Houston plays unbelievable defense too, right? But when I watch Iowa State guard, like, you're going to be miserable the entire game unless you come with some sort of game plan that just is like nobody this year or any year that's played against this, this coach team. Like, it's hard to get just a single basket, let alone to be able to score over 80 points, which is what you're basically going to have to do against Iowa State. And then I don't think people are necessarily talking enough about Momcilovic. Like, shooting 55% from the 3-point line on 7 threes a game is that's unheard of. Like, you don't ever see that. So you have a guy in Joshua Jefferson who's basically just teeing him up for open looks all game long. You go on the defensive end, and you got the 2 guards up top that you can't breathe, so the point guard's got to get off of it. Well, now you've got another guy that can stay in front. Iowa State, man, like, I've been a fan since last year, but then going into this year, I was like, I think this team's going to shock a whole lot of people. And so, man, I'm just more and more of a fan. I've always been a guy that has what product do you put in front of me right now? Obviously, I know you get better as the season goes on and things like that. But like, Iowa State has shown me game in and game out, like, this team is a Final Four team. And so I gotta ride with them. But yeah, I think they're above everybody right now, and I think it's kind of whoever's fighting. But I love this Iowa State team.
So the Big 12 continues to flex its muscles at the top of the sport, as we've already dissected here. But we haven't really dove into the Houston part of it. RCU touched upon it, but 77-55, the final for Kelvin Sampson's bunch over Baylor. Houston is 37-4, to your point, RC, in Big 12 games since it joined the league. They've won 16 consecutive road games, all in league play. I brought up the Indiana conversation, but like, Houston does not get nearly enough headline talk as they should nationally. We came into the year talking about, like, maybe we had some questions about the freshman, how it was going to come along. Kingston Fleming's midseason All-American. Just go watch that Texas Tech game and tell me he's not. But how about a guy like JoJo Tugler doing all the dirty work in there? He's got back-to-back double-doubles, coming a long way from the slow start offensively. They take care of the ball, an issue that has plagued teams like Michigan at times. Houston has a +9 turnover margin through 3 Big 12 games. This is the most physical league in the country, and they don't turn the ball over with a ton of young players, Jeff. I mean, it really is astounding that Kelvin Sampson continues to not only just rebuild teams, he reloads.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think they knew quite what they had with Kingston Flemings. Like, I think they knew they had a really good player. I don't think they thought he was a one and done and he'd be a top 10 pick. And the kid's unbelievable. We talked to him the other day, and he's so able to kind of, be honest and mature with himself. And he said, early on, he goes, I was unplayable. That's what he said to us. I was unplayable. Like, how many freshmen do you ever hear that from? And it was because of the defensive end more than anything else. So I think, yes, you're right. They have the highest upside with their perimeter, RC. What I worry about is there's nobody that they can throw it into down low. Now, Iowa State doesn't have a guy like that either. Buchanan's solid, right? But Arizona does. They got a couple like that. Arizona might be the most well-rounded team. Houston might be the team with the highest upside. Iowa State is the team you trust the most because you know what you're going to get every single day. And you know what? All 3 of those teams can absolutely cut down the nets in Indianapolis and win the whole thing this year. That's how good all 3 of them are.
Jeff, this is why I said what I said about Houston. And JJ, you said something earlier about Momcilovic. He's shooting 55% so far. I don't think that's sustainable. I think he's a good shooter. I don't think he's going to shoot 55% on a year, right? The problem with playing Houston is that they're going to blitz you. They're trapping the frontline guys. So all the throwing into the post, they're blitzing you anyway. And they're going to force Arizona to beat them making shots. So if Arizona's knocking down threes or knocking down shots on the perimeter, they got a chance. But they're not allowing Coapede or Creevis or any of these big guys to play. You're not playing one-on-one in the post against Houston because they're coming if you're a scorer down there. So I just think it's also a style of play. And to your point, we've talked about that. And let's not forget the step that Uzan has taken, shown last year. And there's not a ton of pressure on him to come out and play. It's kind of like he is pushing. We interviewed Brad, Underwood earlier, and he said the same thing. He goes, how important, leadership is on the team and bringing along young guys. And I think that's what he's done. And I think Kingston Flemings is as good as a freshman guard as we've had in college basketball. Look at his numbers. Look at his percentages. He's doing it at a really efficient level. Like I said, I think Arizona is the number 1 team in the country. They've earned that. I think Iowa State is second. But if I had to put my money on who I think will still be standing at the end this year, I think it's Houston because I think their freshmen will continue to take a step. We've seen everybody else. They're great. Iowa State's really good. We know Arizona's really good. I think Houston can still be better as their freshmen continue to develop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with both of y'all. I think I'll wave the Iowa State flag a little bit more than Houston. I do got to say, RC, through 16 games shooting 55% from 3 on 7 a game is, I mean, he might not, he won't shoot. I agree. He won't shoot 55%. That's just, that's insane. But heck, if he shoots 48, if he brings it down 7
can he shoot 42 in the NCAA?
I get ready to say, can he shoot 40? All right, like he hasn't shot 40 for a season yet, right? That's my only concern. And I said, I'm on a record. I said he's the key, and he's shooting the lights out. So will the law of averages bring him back down in the 30s? And if they do, he could finish the year right now at 39%. And you look at it and go, man, that's a great year shooting the ball from 3. But we're halfway through the season, and he's at 55. So imagine how poorly he would have to shoot to get his average that low. And I just think it's going to come down, not because he's bad. Right. No, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. Like it's impossible. Like he's a good shooter. I mean, that's like historic for the amount of attempts that he's going to get up. So I just don't believe he'll come down. I think he'll finish
he's an elite shooter. RC, I'll say this. I actually think he's an elite shooter who didn't shoot that well his first couple of years in college. And again, he's not a 55% shooter. Nobody is. But
well, he was injured last year too, Jeff. He missed time last year too, right?
I think he's a 42, 44% three-point shooter in college. So yes, will it kind of regress to the mean? Sure. But again, all he's got to do is shoot 42, 44 when it matters in the NCAA tournament, because this team's going to get a 1 or 2 seed as long as they stay healthy. And knock on wood, the key to this team is what? Tamin Lipsey's health. Make no mistake.
No doubt.
That is number one here, because this is a kid that plays hard and it's a history of injury issues. So I'm knocking on wood here because we need that kid to be healthy.
Right. Yeah. And he also talked about, after their most recent win, about he knows what's at stake this season, and maybe we have it all together now. So it's either win or go home in 2025-26 for Iowa State. But yeah, Houston, Arizona, and Iowa State, maybe 3 of the best teams in the country, all residing in the Big 12. Let's go ahead and take a dip into the old ACC waters here. We've got a couple of ACCers here with Justin and I in studio the other night. Of course, RC calling games as well weekly. So, look, this was a conference last year that was barely able to muster 4 teams into the field. And if we're being honest, North Carolina was even a stretch there, Justin, for a bit. But plenty of new coaches infused, transfer portal additions. ACC is on pace, depending on which bracketologist you look at, to get 8 teams in the field this year. So let's start at the top, where we had a top 25 showdown in Cameron Indoor yesterday between Duke and a Boopy Miller-less SMU. 82-75 the score there. A lot of credit has to go to Andy Enfield's team without their leading scorer, putting up a fight there, especially getting off to the start that they did in that game. But RC, I want to start on the Duke side of this, because despite the 4-0 start in league play, it just feels like John Shire's squad is constantly swimming upstream in a lot of these games, especially when they're playing at or near their level of competition. Slow start once again yesterday. How big of a concern are these slow starts becoming for Duke and the ACC this year?
I don't know if I'd say it's a slow start. SMU is a really good team, right? And obviously you can think about, if Boopy Miller was there, this could be totally different. I think SMU is a really good team. He's trying to figure things out here, I think, in Cameron, and Duke. I think he got Cam Boozer. Does he start Caden Boozer? Wasn't in the lineup, but played really well again. I think he's trying to figure out he can get guys going. Isaiah Evans is starting to make some shots. He struggled there. They need to find some consistent perimeter shooting, So Dame Sarr is he's a really good defensive player, but not giving you a whole lot of offensively. Kamenia is supposed to be a shooter. Hasn't quite got going. Had an ankle injury. When will he get healthy? So they're figuring it out. I think they're a really good defensive team. They rely on that when they get themselves in the hole. And as long as they got Cam Boozer there, they're always going to have a chance, because I still think he's the best player, most dominant player, I'd say, in college basketball. And when they need a bucket, they're going to go through him, and he's delivered every time.
I mentioned the slow starts, Jeff, because the opener against Georgia Tech, they trailed well into the second half in that game, escaped Florida State with that 4-point win. They won comfortably, but they still trailed by 9 at the half to Louisville. So, eventually they're going to run into a team that's not going to allow them to get back in these games, right? I mean, especially if your goal is to win a national championship. No, you're shaking your head.
No, you're right. They're just not dominant. They're not a dominant Duke team other than Boozer. And Isaiah Evans hasn't been, the Robin that we all thought he'd be. He's been better lately. He's been much better lately. But now you got Caleb Foster was great in the second half a couple games ago. Then he goes out and he puts a goose egg up last game against SMU. That can't happen. So, I'm losing complete faith in Caleb Foster, to be honest. And I hope John Shire just says, hey, you know what, Caden Boozer, this is your team now. This is your team. We're going to give it to you. The problem with that is the team around Caden Boozer. Like RC said, they don't shoot it well enough to have Caden Boozer as a freshman be a guy who's not a great shooter, with Sarr, who's not a great shooter, with Malik, who's not a great scorer or shooter. the spacing just really isn't there, and they don't have a consistent third guy. Like, they're good. And again, I'm not going against Boozer because all the dude does is win. But I don't feel nearly as confident now as I did early in the season or in the preseason.
Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I think I'm with Jeff from the standpoint of they're just not a just walk into a game and just dominate you type of team. That's just kind of how they've been all year. Honestly, they've just won games, but it hasn't been like, man, this team is the number one team in the country type wins. I will say Isaiah Evans, like in ACC play, averaging 22, I think is kind of stepping into that second guy that we've been looking for this Duke team to be good. As far as the lineups go, it is tough with the shooting, right? Like you've got Isaiah Evans now hitting shots, but then, okay, now you're relying on Cam Boozer to shoot it from the outside, which obviously he's a good enough player to be able to do it. But being your second spacer, that takes it away from really where he's able to dominate, right? So I think that's tough. For me, I love the lineup of having Brown next to Cam Boozer because I think what you're kind of seeing now is teams are starting to kind of pick on Cam Boozer on the defensive end, right? Or they're starting to just pick up on different matchups they can go at. So now you've got a guy who was a former ACC Defensive Player of the Year that's been able to cover that stuff up a little bit more. But then it also runs into the shooting, right? Like he's not necessarily a scorer. He's for sure not a spacer. But I still am not going to sit here and say I'm worried about this Duke team, right? Because they have size, because they have at least two guys that can really score the ball for you, at least if Isaiah Evans keeps doing it. But I think it's just a matter of seeing, okay, what lineup, because eventually you're going to have to settle on a lineup. You're not going to be able to just keep on saying, all right, Caden, you coming off the bench. All right, Caleb Foster, you know what? You might play 17 minutes tonight, but then next game we're going to need you all 20 minutes in the second. Like you got to come with a consistent lineup. So I think if Shire's able to do that and kind of nail down, okay, this is who we've got next to Cam, next to Isaiah, all these sort of things, I think this team will be totally fine, but it's just nailing those things down, I think.
Right.
JJ, I'll say this. I mean, let me add this, Sam. I'll say this. I think that's the problem, and I think that's why it'll never be that consistent because I think it looks like to me what he's trying to do is say, hey, for this matchup, we got to, when we want to get a good defensive lineup in, we got to do this, right? And when we need shooting in, we got to go that. That's kind of how he's kind of piecing this thing together on the fly because it hasn't been consistent, right? So then it's going to be, hey, let me go with the 2 point guard lineups because it helps everybody else on the floor. I think he has a feel for what it is, but he's looking for consistency. I think part of what's happened is their freshmen have not taken the step as quickly as they wanted him to, and he's got to mix and match like almost like a late game situation, right? I got my defensive group, I got this guy's going, and then if they can play off that, and we'll see. But again, they still got the most dominant guy on the court when he's playing.
At the very least, Duke can lay claim to the fact that they came out on top over the Ponies, something that their Tobacco Road counterparts cannot say. Sorry, Justin, but yeah, North Carolina returned home after that loss to SMU to face Wake Forest, where they nearly suffered yet another loss. Had it not been for Henry Vasar's 25 points, they also got 20 points from the charity stripe there in the 87-84 win in Chapel Hill yesterday. Jaden Young was a bright spot, Justin, off the bench, I thought, for North Carolina there. But what is your biggest concern, if you have one, over this past week for your Tar Heels?
If I have one, that's a funny setup. I mean, obviously, we've talked ad nauseum about the 4-5 and Caleb Wilson and Henry Vasar. They obviously did what they were supposed to. Our biggest problem is the point guard play, and just consistency and just steadiness, right? Like, I'm not even sitting here saying we need, 13 and 8 from our point guard, right? But you look at the last two games, one of which, like you so kindly reminded, against SMU, and this last game against Wake, like those two guys combined for 14 points. They had more turnovers, 5 turnovers than field goals, which was 4. right? Like in those 2 games. And so I've always said you have to have steady point guard play and you have to have bigs, right? Well, North Carolina has the bigs, but the point guard play has to somehow find a way to be more consistent. I mean, you look at Wake in the second half. I wish I could say his last name, but their guard I think had 22 in the second half. Kyle Mees.
Call me.
He had 22 in the second half, finished with 28, 9, and 4. And by no means is it any disrespect to him, but he's not necessarily a guy I would say he should come into the Dean Dome and walk out with 28, 9, and 4, right? So, I think that's the biggest question mark. Like, do they find different ways? Do they play Seth Trimble more at the 1, which would take him out of what he's really good at as far as being on the wing, being in space? But I think that's probably the biggest.
I think you try that because to me, that's your best bet at this point. At least you have a veteran who I've seen play the 1 plenty in the past. Even in AAU ball, he played it. He had the ball in his hands a ton. And I think he's a good decision maker. Now, again, I just think it's honestly looking at the other options and saying, like, my other options are this and this, and I don't love either one of them, so I'm going to go to plan C.
Jeff, let me start by saying this. Y'all don't know how bad I wanted to come on this show, knowing JJ was on here as a Carolina grad, hoping Tyler was around. Do you and John? Do you know, Sam? Had we pulled this game out, I was going to eat Justin's behind. Do you realize what I was going to say? The amount of shit I was going to talk to this. Man, I was so looking forward to that, man.
As long as you weren't going to make that same motion that you made last week on the show, we're good. We're good.
I lie to you not. When I saw I was on here with a Tar Heel tonight, I was like, if we get these guys, I'm going to give him so much hell. Listen, you know what? The guard play is a concern, but you talk about dominant. Guys, Vassar and Wilson was 17 of 19 from the field. Like, listen, think about that. 17-19 from the field. They combined for 47 and 21. Like, that makes up for a lot. And I do think in the half court, I would like to see the ball in Seth Trimble's hand a little bit more, letting him get downhill and move Kyan Evans off the ball and I think my only concern with him is he spends too much time just standing on the perimeter shooting threes. I think he needs to try to get in the paint, get to the free throw line, play more inside out. He plays more outside in. He reminds me of like how Nigel Pack plays the game. They back up and just shoot more from distance when guys tend to crowd up in them instead of going by guys. So, Carolina will be fine, I think. But again, you have to be concerned with their guard play. But their frontline guys are dominant as any.
Yeah, well, I think too.
Go ahead, Justin.
To your point, though. To your point with that, Caleb Wilson only had 2 field goal attempts in the second half, right? So, like, those crazy numbers that they combined with, they could have combined for 60, right? If Caleb Wilson was fed the ball probably as much as he probably should have been. So I think that goes back to the point guard play. But to your point, like when you have a 4-5 that's that dominant, like, I mean, there's a lot of gaps that can be covered up because of that.
Yeah, Vassar, to put some numbers to it, Vassar and Wilson are the second pair of North Carolina teammates in the last 30 seasons to each have 20 points on 80% shooting from the field in the same game. They join Tyler Hansborough and Danny Green from 07 season and 08. Things do not get any easier, by the way, for Carolina. They have to complete that West Coast swing, but we've already seen Louisville get snipped on that one. So it's not an easy thing to do traveling out there. We are going to maybe get to NC State in the afters here, but for those who are following along, watching on the YouTube page here, please hit us in the chat with some of your questions. It was a fantastic week of college basketball here, again, as we are 9 weeks out from Selection Sunday. So rubber's going to meet the road for a lot of teams here coming up in the next couple of weeks. So hit us in the chat. We'll see you in the afters to answer some of your questions, comments, and concerns.
These my DJ Burns things I had for. That was like taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's going to die got to be one of the black guys. We're not going to make it to the end of the movie.
that's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. We are entering the afters here in this 9 p.m. hour on the East Coast time. Jeff, look, you were piling our guy Dagan here. I mean, you were throwing Shaheen Holloway out the door. He's already got the loss to the 49ers tonight. Dagan, I mean, how are we feeling?
Yeah, I know that was a bit ridiculous. I was not expecting the Shaheen throw out during the show, but whatever. We'll move.
Sorry, Dagan. I apologize.
It's fine. I can handle it, I guess, for now. All right, fellas, before we get to questions, we do have a super chat from Stormy Cyclone. He says, thank you for all your basketball discussions. I enjoy the hell out of these types of forums. Stormy Cyclone, we appreciate you, and thank you for the kind words before we get to the question. All right, fellas, so we'll start with this one. This was actually in our group chat that we have before we do the shows. It came from Rob Doster. He wants to know, which first-year head coach has done the best job this season?
A lot of good ones out there.
A lot of good ones.
I mean, to me, it's easy. I think it's kind of easy. Jay Lucas for me. 14-2. 14-2. And this is a guy that a lot of people question the hire Miami, right? It's, distant, but he's bounced around a little bit. Is he really ready for the Miami job? By the way, guys, we know it's not anymore, but I don't know, ago, it was like Miami C 15 years ago, were the two worst jobs in the ACC back then. It was like pro sports towns. They didn't care about the program. Now, Miami's got some money now, so they're probably, I don't know, 6th, 7th, and I did the rankings last week. I can't remember what they checked in at, probably 7 overall. But he's done an incredible job. I mean, they're 14-2 right now. They're undefeated in the ACC. I know they haven't, beaten any of the big boys yet. But just to have them in this situation where they're in contention at this point on January 10th or 11th, whatever the hell we're at, for an NCAA tournament bid, is really impressive for Jay, especially because, again, it's not like he's got the perfect team for him. Like he put together a team that could really defend and were tough, but they don't have an explosive offense. But Malik Renew's been great. I think Luke has done an amazing job.
Going to go with Ryan Odom at UVA. I was going to keep it in the ACC. An international Tester Ritter's been great. But who are you thinking about, RC?
Those were my top two. I had Miami Saturday, and I'm going with 1 and 1A, and I would go with Jay Lucas because first year head coach, and Jeff prior to Coach L coming there, that was like automatic win. That was home. That was a homecoming game going to Miami. You knew it was never be a crowd. No one's there. It was homecoming. It was like, hey, I'm gonna go get my numbers. We're playing against Miami type of game, and he's flipped it, man. They're already started. I think they're going to get into the tournament. I think he has all in, and we'll get into date. But I think Ryan Odom, not because it's so much a surprise, I think to say about the ACC title when it's all said and done. I think
jump into, and for a Big East.
And
McCollum's been good. Yeah. Anything, Justin, to add on there?
No, I mean, I think that was pretty easy as far as Jay Lucas and Ryan Odom. But yeah, I mean, I throw Ben McCollum in there too. I mean, like you look at the losses that Iowa State today against Illinois, like their 4 losses, other than maybe one, are against really good teams, right? And I think what's so impressive to me is you've got Ben Sturtz and then whoever else behind him, right? Like it's like the way that he makes that team go. Like you look at just the minutes that's Ben Sturt's averages like 35 and the next is like 21, right? So like the way that he's able to get guys in there, get them out, like just with the chemistry and all that. I mean, I'll throw him in there, but yeah, I got to rock with the Houston, the hometown, Jay Lucas, right? For everybody that didn't, obviously the son of late great, not late
I'm
great,
gonna add
but
one.
great John
I'm gonna add
Lucas.
one that I've already mentioned. I'm gonna add Ryan Miller, Murray State.
Ryan Miller.
Yeah, because the last 3 years at Murray State were 17, 15, 12, and 20, and 16 and 17. They are 15-3 right now and 7-0 in the Missouri Valley. So he's done an incredible job flipping that program quickly. And he's got money.
Dagan, I'm going to flip it on the other side. How about maybe a more disappointing first-year coach in their spot, or maybe that you expected them to hit the ground running, like a Buzz Williams at Maryland, like the Patino at Xavier. Like what coach maybe in their first year did you expect more out of that we haven't seen?
Sean Miller of Texas, probably Sean, who was with us. A huge win yesterday, but prior to that, I thought Texas had been a disappointment. And Sean obviously left Xavier for Texas because he had better resources and thought he could win a national title. I just thought his team would be better out of the gates. Richard Pitino, you kind of knew Xavier would be down. They didn't have a ton of money this year. Trying to think who else has kind of been underwhelming so far this year.
Florida State hadn't been great, but I don't know that really anybody expected that. Yeah,
you didn't expect them. I thought Maryland would be better than they are, Jeff. I thought
good call.
They wouldn't be like this. I thought Maryland would be better.
Yeah,
and
I just didn't love the hire. So we talked about this. I think when they made it in the offseason, I just feel like us Northeasterners. Buzz doesn't really fit in the Northeast. I'll keep it at that.
I mean, I guess you got to, and this is not because I'm, not a fan of NC State, but you got to throw NC State in there. Even though the last couple games, obviously, they've gotten it going a little bit, you got to throw Will Wade in there with NC State, which I think some of that was just expectations being too high. But, I mean, I think they've got a better team than what their record shows.
Hey, isn't that always the case with NC State? Expectations being too high?
Hey, look.
But I don't think they've been. I don't think they've been a disappointment. I think if this tournament starts right here, I think we may have been disappointment because of. And Sam, you said this because the expectations around Darian Williams and him preseason player of the year. Now we know he's not playing that, and he struggled, and we've talked about that before. But if the season started today, postseason started today, they're in the tournament. So though they're not challenging, for an ACC title, can they piece it together enough to get into the tournament? And if he does, then I think it's good. I don't think it belongs in. I don't think it's a complete disappointment. I'd say, even though I get what you're saying, like they're not as good as we thought they were. And I think the cat's out in the bag on that. But they did. They had a really good win the other day against Florida State, and they're going to win some games. Can they hold on and win the right games and avoid losing to teams that'll hurt them from getting in the tournament?
Yeah, while we're on that, Dagan, do we want to just hit NC State really quick in their 113 points they put up against Florida State? The historical context to that, they made 11 3-pointers in the first half. They shot 50% from the field in the first half. It was their first time scoring 100-plus during an ACC road game since 1991. But back-to-back 20-plus point games for that preseason player of the year, Darian Williams, buying the bounce back from that win. I mean, people aren't talking or asking questions about Darian Williams anymore. The vibes were interesting there, but hey, put up 113 points. You can say whatever the hell you want.
RC?
Look,
go ahead,
RC,
JJ, go ahead.
I mean, I think, me personally, I think it's just crazy that you would ever give preseason ACC Player of the Year to anybody other than Cam Boozer or Caleb Wilson coming in, to be honest.
It's a fair point, Justin. It's a really fair point.
I understand Darian Williams already played in college basketball, was a really good player at Texas Tech, right? I understand that 100%. But if you look at the big picture, as far as what role he was playing, what role now he's going to play for NC State, like it's a ton of just new for Darian Williams. And I think that's what people aren't taking into account. Like, oh man, he was preseason ACC Player of the Year. and he hasn't looked like it. Well, yeah, because he was never asked to be the number one guy and to be the guy that carries a basketball team, right? Like he was asked to be that. So that's my take on that whole thing. I think now he's starting to get more comfortable. He's just aggressive, like he's shooting the ball more, getting more shots. And I think now he's kind of starting to fall into what he could be for NC State.
Anymore. We ain't got to ask him no more questions. I don't even like his tone, the way he's been all day long. Listen, you understood it because it came in with a buzz. He has to play a certain way. I think the thing that hurts him as well is they don't have a prototypical point guard. And I think if he had that, it would make things a little bit easier for him. But this system that Will Wade has will allow him to have moments and play. And if Paul McNeil can make shots, they'll be a really good team. When they're making shots, they're tough to beat. This is a really good shooting basketball team. If defensively, if they're making shots, their issue is defensively. If their team defends, he'll score. If they struggle defensively, then they're going to have issues. So I think the hype was coming in off his postseason, and everybody said that. And again, I think everybody knows, and Jeff knows this. I've been JT Top, and I've been screaming him all year long as a first team All-American. So he doesn't have that guy. So be it. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just like what you were saying about Dagan. I mean, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I don't want to hear
that more than anything else you said about it.
He got to text us the rest of the show. I don't like his energy. I don't want to hear from him. He knows better. He can't do it. Be better, Dagan.
You're right. You're right, Justin, though. Darian Williams, if you look at it, like he was the guy for a couple games during the NCAA tournament last year. So everybody just thought he was going to pick up from there and be the guy at NC State. And sometimes it's tough too, because now you made all that money. Everybody knows you made all that money. So you have that pressure on you as well to have to deliver and be that guy. And that's not always easy. So I'm not – he was so comfortable in that role and will be comfortable. But again, at NC State, Sam, those fans are nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Well, who's the craziest fan base in the country then?
Oh, I mean, Kentucky without a doubt is one. Like, there's nobody – to me, Kentucky is in a class by themselves at one. But then you've got the ones that are, like, underrated, like, nasty. Like, Providence is nasty.
Yeah, they are. I would throw us in there. I would throw UConn fans in there.
UConn fans have been nasty. Definitely been known to be nasty. Texas Tech, nasty. Like they can get after you, get after it. Oh yeah. NC State's just like, again, they
Jeff
are
thinks
kind of
everybody's nasty, Sam, because afterwards half the country wants to kick his ass when he's out because he talks so much trash about everybody. So he's already started. He's already seen a lot. JJ, you gotta be careful going out places with Jeff. You gotta be his damn bodyguard sometimes when you go out with Jeff.
He's already starting fights with Brad Underwood in parking lots, RC. I mean, he's already
He is softer.
All right, let's get to the toast of the night. There were three ranked teams in action today. We already talked about the Illinois and the Iowa game, and then the only other ranked team that was in action was UCF against Cincinnati. Now, UCF 1-1. Is that your toast, RC? Go ahead. You're toasting UCF?
Johnny Dawkins, man. You got to. 25th ranked team, Johnny Dawkins. When we all started this season, he was already in the grave. We have retired him. He was done. He was fired. He was on Jeff's list of coaches. He already had people interview candidates. He had all of that. And now my man JD's down there with the 25th ranked team in the country. They got a gritty win today against Cincinnati at home. And again, I'm proud of him, man. He's a great friend. And,
Great dude. Great dude.
Listen, don't find a nicer guy in college basketball than him.
No,
if he goes out on top, I still think he should go out on top.
That would be great. Love Uncle Johnny.
Well, then I'll piggyback off of that because my toast is going to go to the other side of that game, not to Cincinnati, the team, but the Cincinnati fans. I don't know if anybody saw this, but like an hour before we came on, Barstool Cincinnati tweeted out on Wednesday in their game against Colorado, they're going to have a paper bag game. So fans are going to be wearing paper bags in the arena. And make your voices be heard. They're saying enough is enough. Paper bag game, 114 versus Colorado. Bearcats basketball protest is what it's being called. So
you're in a bad spot when you start having those.
It's not good.
Jeff, does he make it through the year, Jeff?
I mean, if they're wearing paper bags, that's not what you want if you're Wes Miller. That's not what you want. And it's gone downhill this year. I mean, you got to get to the tournament this year. That was kind of the big thing for the AD, John Cunningham. Certainly get to the tournament since he's got a proud history, and they've done nothing to kind of say that Wes Miller's the right guy for that job. So I like Wes, but I think it's probably the beginning of the end for Wes Miller at Cincinnati. Justin, you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I'm staying in this Illinois-Iowa game, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like, Kylan Boswell, like he made Ben Sturt's day extremely tough.
Miserable.
Like it was it was everywhere he went, Boswell was right there with him. So, and he added 17 in the second half, hit some timely shots, got to the free throw line. So give me Kylan Boswell.
All right. Kylan, absolutely. All right, I got a good one. I got a good one here to finish with. We got a guy that earlier this season kicked a stool in frustration. We got a guy earlier this season, couldn't really win a game, right? I mean, he was downtrodden. It was miserable. People were killing him on Twitter over and over and over. And now that guy has won 6 of his last 7. They are now 10-8 overall and 5-2 in the horizon, a game back of first place. 2-1, Douglas Gottlieb. How about that? And the Green Bay Phoenix. How about that? Like, kind of impressive. I mean, the guy that everybody was like, hey, he's going to be fired. He can't do this dual threat, radio coaching gig. Well, he gets rid of the radio gig, and maybe he should have got rid of it a year and a half ago. Maybe Doug should have said, forget the money of the radio show and just stuck. And it is true. Like, you can't do both. You can't do both. Pick one. Pick one and coach.
Not very well.
As we've said about the former NBA guys who don't understand how hard it is and how much work is entailed to try to, especially get a program that's not there, up there. And I think Douglas is kind of starting to figure this thing out.
Real quick, before we get out of here, Jeff, I know you have the ties, obviously, to Indiana, and I'm sure we probably have touched upon it since Indiana football made it to the national championship. It's one of the best stories in sports. You're going to be at the national championship game, right, in Miami? Well, like, can you put into because you've been doing this for a long time? Can you put into context what this has been like for the last year plus in Bloomington?
Yeah, I mean, Dagan's telling me to go quickly. I think this is going to be a 15-minute diatribe right now coming up.
Dagan, get comfortable, baby.
We're going to keep going. Get ready, boys. Get ready, boys. No, it's amazing. I'll give you a quick story. So I met Sig before. I've only met him once, and I met him before his first game. Early, I was there preseason. I just went in, met him for like 20 minutes, and he's sitting behind his desk, and I said to him, hey, man, like, if you guys go like 3-2 in your first 5, like, you'd be ecstatic, right? Like, it'd be the greatest thing ever. And he looked at me like I was fucking out of my mind. Like, are you kidding? And he goes, no, we're going to be 5-0. And I looked at him, probably smiled, thought to myself, this dude is a dumb you know what. Like, he has no idea what he's stepping himself into here. This is Indiana football. Nobody wins here. Nobody wins here.
No.
And my daughter covered them the last year of Tom Allen, the year before State got hired. And she said to me the other day, she's like, I covered a 4 overtime game against Toledo. Think about that. Think about where this program has gone in 2 years. I've never seen – there's been nothing like it. Now, I know it's a different time period. I get it. But I will say this. Mark Cuban's giving a lot of money now. I don't think he gave a lot of money 2 years ago, guys. I think
Jeff,
this is
it's a
kind of
Disney
new.
movie.
Yeah,
this is a Disney
It's
movie.
crazy.
It should be a movie. Because
It
when
will
you
be.
take in the history of how bad it was, it should be a movie.
Yeah.
Dagan, I told
they
you don't talk. You text us, man. I don't want to hear your voice.
They were the worst program in America. It was them and then Northwestern, and they have moved ahead of Northwestern now, obviously, with this type of the only crappy part, guys, is they're playing Miami in the title game, so obviously Miami's got the home field advantage, number one, and the ticket prices, man, they are at $3,500 right now. The worst seat in the house. The worst seat in the house.
Yeah.
They say it's the most expensive college football game in history right now. Crazy.
Indiana has the largest, apparently the largest alumni base with living alumni, which is a factoid I did not know. But yeah,
that's because people like Jeff won't die. They got alumni like Jeff, and they just won't die. They won't kill over. I know you're not. I said people like you.
All right. Okay. All right.
We will have a new first-time college football playoff participant winning a national championship since 2019 LSU. But this is college basketball, and man, Mark Byington and Sig were at James Madison at the same time, and man, alive, could that be a ridiculous story if Vanderbilt makes something of themselves this year? All right, we got to get out of here. Dagan has been muted, but he's definitely furious right now for a lot of different reasons. We will sign off for Jeff Goodman, Justin Jackson, and Randolph Childress. I am Sam Ravech saying so long. Thanks for watching the Field of 68 After Dark. Make sure you are subscribed everywhere that you get your podcasts, and of course on the YouTube channel as well.